Hey, 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 good people. What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning. Do me a favor, invite somebody, share this. If you don't mind, share this, invite somebody. Tell them coffee time is on. I've got a lot to say this morning, but I'm going to do so in a short period of time. I'm going to be going live on IG as well. I even took notes. I did. I normally do everything off the top of the dome. But do me a favor. Let me do my good mornings, and then I want you to invite somebody, share, okay? Um, Chanel Wells Bracy, good morning to you.
I did.
Uh-oh.
I normally
Eunice Poole, I'm sorry, y'all. Eunice Poole, good morning to you. Stephanie Clark, good morning. Rhonda Oliver, good morning. Tina White McPherson, good morning. Vonetta Perry, what up, Netta? Good morning. So do me a favor. Edith Hodges, good morning. Good to see you. Do me a favor. Can everybody just take 1 second, share this video to your page, then invite 2 or 3 people. So, and I'm going to tell you why this morning is a little different for me. There's some pertinent information that I want to give you. There are so many things that are going on, but I do believe that we have the upper hand. And I want to show you this morning how you can take this pandemic, use it to your advantage, and gain the wealth that you should have anyway. I've got some practical things I'm going to share with you. And I really believe it's probably going to be one of the best, if not the best, coffee times I've ever done. And I'll tell you why in a second. Jamie Johnson, what's up, bro? So I'm trying to get my preliminaries out of the way before I go live to Instagram. But do me a favor, Jamie, Vonetta, Edith, Desiree, good morning. Will you all share this to your page and then invite a few people? So I woke up this morning, just kind of tuned in, focused in. I was listening to uh, my inspirations. There are a multiplicity of things that I use to motivate myself. There are various preachers, speakers, music, quotes. There are several voices that I have to use as a landmark, as a pillar of motivation for me. Jordan is one of them. Jakes is one of them. Jones is one of them. Nancy Falco, good morning. Tina White, thanks for sharing it. Vonetta Perry, thank you so much for sharing. Chanel Wiles Bracy, thank you so much for sharing. Tiffany Colvin, everybody, if you could do me one favor, just share this to your page, invite 2 or 3 people. I promise you, something's going to be said today that's going to give you just more building block, another brick to add to the building of your life that you're building. This pandemic is serious, but I do believe that in this pandemic, there are some things that are being released for our advantage. Alice Mirror, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Michelle Buckley, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Sharice Jones, thank you so much for joining us. Edith Hodges, thank you for sharing. Jody Bryant, friend of the family, just like family, has been such an encouragement to myself as well as my family over the years since I was a kid. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Jody. Monique Ross, what up, sis? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. All right, so let's go ahead and kick this off. I'm also live on IG. All right, so I'm going to be talking 2 places. First thing that I want to start with is you've got to know first and foremost that there are no surprises to God. I promise I won't browbeat you. There are no shocks to God. There are no surprises to God. Also, be sure to tune in tonight to myself, Gene.com, comedian A Train, all three of us, PDT. We're back together doing it again tonight, bringing you something live, real, entertaining, funny, and it's going to be informational. So make sure you join us tonight. But you got to know that through the course of your life, there is no shocks, no surprises to God. Now, I want to be careful how I unpack this morning, because so many times we live from day to day, and there's so much surface thinking going on. Let me give you an example of what surface thinking is. Surface thinking is the way that we think based on how things are presented. You have to go beyond the surface to see how the thought was created. All right, I'm gonna give you a case in point. When it comes to the pandemic in our society, you have to understand that the media and the government control the narrative, because they control the presentation of how this thing is being presented to us. We only know what they tell us, and we can only go off of what we've heard. That is surface level thinking. When you go beyond the surface and you start doing the research based on the information that they presented, and when you start aligning all of the facts together, when you align all the facts, when you do research, that is how you can come up with a conclusion of how a thought has been organized for its presentation. Now, you got to understand, I don't care what happens in your government. I don't care what happens in this world, that your life is in God's hand. What does that mean? Whatever year you were born in, whoever your parents were, 2020 was already on God's calendar before you were even born. He already knew this pandemic would break out. And in the foreknowledge of God, had he known all that he knows, he knew that this would happen. You've got to know that in this thought process, he has made a way of escape for us. He has a plan for us. The problem is we have to learn how to dismantle our emotions and think intelligently as it relates to who God is, and see things from an eternal perspective, and not just have and be governed by table talk, surface level thinking. Y'all follow me so far? Now, if you're following the news, and if you all, those of you that are joining in now, share this please on your page, invite 2 or 3 people. If you're following the news is going to have you on an emotional roller coaster day by day. What does that mean? One day it's getting better, the next day it's getting worse. One day they reveal one fact, the next day, the facts that they revealed the day before, they've discovered it's wrong. News is coming in from around the country that contradicts some of the news that is being played in America. How do you believe or choose to believe, or how do you gather facts when there's so much misinformation that is being offered up? And I tell you, it's easy. First of all, we do not believe the report of the news, because the news can change their mind. And let me give you this. Most news networks, the news has been altered to fit the commentary of the owners or investors or the groups that are involved. And there is a end purpose in mind for the news that you get. That's why you can turn to CNN. They say one thing. Turn to Fox. They say something completely different. When President Obama was president, CNN praised him for his efforts. Fox never had anything good to say about it. Well, which news do you believe? Because most of the news is governed by the commentary of the people that are in charge. It's not just to drive ratings, it's to control the narrative. At the end of the day, I promise you one thing is consistent. No matter what news is being released, all of it is promoted by money because it takes money to run the network. So when you live by the news of this world, your emotions are governed by what they say. One of the best things that you can do, one of the best things, one of the smartest things that you can do. Miss Leela TU, what's up? Dolores World, welcome. Officer Amazing, good morning. Roger J, good morning. Natasha Soulrich, good morning. Good morning, IG family. Those of you that are just joining on Facebook, good morning to you as well. Dolores World, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Roger J, thanks for joining us. I can promise you that there is not an event that can happen to you, that can happen in your world, in our society, around the globe, not just America, but Africa, Europe, the continents, different nations of the world. There is nothing going on in this world that God hadn't already had his notes written out for. If you allow the news to be your source of information, your emotions are tied to your senses. Whatever your senses, how you see, how you hear, your sense of touch, taste, because we are sensually connected to our world, then our senses get an alarm based on the information they receive. Let me give you an example. If you were to receive good news right now, if I was to tell you that I just put $30 million in your bank account, your senses come together. They decide with your mind on how they're going to feel and what's going to happen next. And your mood is excited through your senses based on the intelligence that you receive. The information that you receive alerts or triggers your mind. Your mind triggers your senses and your emotions. Then there's a response that comes from you based on the governing board of intelligence that you've received and your senses. I'm human. Because I'm human, I feel. Now, when you allow the news to be the governing board for what you believe, then you're going to always be up and down because the news is inconsistent. Now, let me ask you this question, and I got a few points, and I'm going to let you go. All the things that you've gone through in your life, everything that you faced in your life, who was there to not only see you through it, get you through it, but also, to shelter the blows that you should have received? In other words, my grandmother used to say it this way: I thank God for keeping me through danger seen and unseen. Meaning, I never forget, I was going across the street Car came by real fast. Instinctively, I came back. I don't believe it was just my instincts that provoked me to move. I also believe that there was a level of grace. I believe that there were supernatural angels that snatched me out of the way. Here's why I say that. There's also been times when I've been caught off guard and shocked and I froze. How could I freeze and react? Reaction is not necessarily the first emotion that we have. Sometimes the information that we receive freezes us. Either way, if you froze and the car didn't hit you, that was God and his grace keeping you from the car. If you moved, it was God and his grace that used your instincts to get out of the way. Either way, I don't care what you've gone through, whether it's been sickness, death, disappointment, loss of job, furlough, breakup, divorce, loneliness, suicide, surgery, COVID-19. No matter what you've gone through, God has been consistent, and he's been consistently there for you to cover you, and the covering of God works in different measures. God can cover you by prevention, and he covers you by intervention. I'm just trying not to get excited. Prevention is he will keep me covered where no sickness, disease, or harm comes near my dwelling place. Prevention is if I got COVID-19, if I tested positive for COVID-19, it's not the end of my world and it's not the end of my life, because he can intervene and heal me. Now, there are two ways that he heals. He heals by miracle and by medicine. God can give you a miracle and wipe that thing out. But then he may allow you to take medicine and intervene with the medicine. His grace is in the medicine, and as you take it, your healing manifests. Either way, he's in both. So this morning, our topic is the power to create success and significance through death, pain, and fear. There's something that's going to be consistent in life, no matter who you are, where you are, what level of life you're on, rich, poor, in between. No matter who you are, no matter your ethnicity, your culture, short, tall, fat, skinny, 32 teeth or 12. No matter what your status is in life, there is one thing that's going to be consistent with all of us. We're going to experience death, pain, and we're going to have fear. It's not that or what happens to us that governs our life or determines what happens next. It's how we process it, how we perceive it, and what we do with what happens to us is what determines our future. You're going to hurt even to the people that love you the most. Prepare yourself. Sometimes they're going to be the ones that hurt you the worst. It's a part of life and nobody escapes. You're going to go through death. Somebody's going to die. It's appointed to man to once die after death judgment. That is something you cannot escape. In fact, death becomes the soil in which we receive life. It's going to happen. And fear. You're going to experience fear on different levels, in many different ways, and fear is a necessary evil in order for you to activate faith. You can't say you have faith, which is believing or acting on what you believe, and then faith does not have an opponent. What makes faith faith is opposition. If you are believing for something, then you are also believing against something. They work hand in hand and they cannot be separated. So there's a school of thought, and there's a group of people that believe if I have fear, then I'm not walking in faith. And that's totally incorrect. It's erroneous doctrine. Hear me and hear me good. How I know I have faith, it's because fear is present, but fear does not dictate my next move. My faith does. I'm trying to stay calm. I'm a church boy, and I go to screaming, and I'm trying to stay calm. Faith doesn't give me the power to escape reality. Faith is not exceptional, so you don't experience pain and the things that life offers. Even your faith in God. Your faith in God does not give you a green card so that you escape trouble. In fact, if you really have faith, you're going to discover more and more that faith literally is the ignition switch that is turned, and it seemingly invites trouble. Because faith will get you a yes, faith will get you a no. Faith can stand on the bedside of somebody that is dying, and because of that faith, that person, situation is turned around and they live. That same faith can stay at the bedside of somebody that is dying, and because you believe they're going to live, they still die. It's not that the principle of faith changed. It's that there are some rules and regulations that God has granted that goes beyond our understanding, reasonings, or thoughts. And there are certain things that God allows and he does not explain. Deuteronomy 17 says that secret things belong to the Lord, and those things that have been revealed belong to us. What does that mean? It is simple. Faith will get you a yes, and faith will get you a no. Faith is not necessarily, or faith doesn't necessarily produce the outcome that we expect. But even with an unexpected outcome, and things did not turn out the way that I was hoping for them to, I'm not moved because my faith is not in the outcome. My faith is in the one who holds time, the world, and me in his hands. If he holds me in his hand and I've been served a bad hand, I can win with a bad hand. Because I sit and I rest in his hand. So no matter what goes on around me, no matter what's going on in me, and when I talk about what's going in me, I'm talking about the enemy. No matter the enemy, no matter what goes on around me, I am still in his hand. And if I am still in his hand and society is losing because of this pandemic and COVID-19, but I'm still in his hand, even in a losing world, a failing economy, even in failing health, I'm still going to win because it's no shock to God. And he's still in control. Now, I have a couple of scriptures that I want to read to you. And I'm trying to move forward. There's so much stuff going through my head. Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but sinners' wealth is laid up for the righteous. This piece of wisdom, Proverbs 13:22, it connects the wealth of unbelievers to the generational wealth of your children. I'm going to say it again. This Proverbs 13:22 connects the wealth of this world, the wealth of this world, the wealth of sinners, whether it be Playboy, Hollywood. It doesn't matter who the sinner is. This scripture connects the wealth that the wicked has gained, and it joins it with how your grandchildren are going to live. I'm going to read it for you again. I could quote it, but I want to read it. And it's the English Standard Version. It says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but sinners' wealth is laid up for the righteous. So, if a sinner's wealth, I want to go to this scripture and read it backwards. If a sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous, God's going to give me a plan that joins my children and my children in order to connect them to a sinner's wealth. In other words, generational wealth doesn't just come to you for them, but it brings the family together so you all can attack it together so that everybody can eat off of the sinner's wealth. You really want to know what generational wealth is? Family businesses. What are you producing for the family to eat and gain wealth for your grandchildren? I want to read another scripture. It's more of a rebuke. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, but if anyone does not provide for his relatives, especially for the members of his own household, he is denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. 1 Timothy 5:8 says not only is 13:22 of Proverbs correct, but 1 Timothy 5:8 says if you're providing for anybody else except those under your roof, your kin, your children, and your children's children, you are worse than an unbeliever. So you cannot work for money and think that it's all about you. And I got to get mine, so my kids have to get theirs. This scripture says you are wrong. Your thinking is off. You're not just working for you. You're working to provide those that are with you, not just now, but for generations to come. It is God's will to prosper you in the earth. Prosperity has a mission, and money has an assignment. The money and prosperity that God is going to give to you through the transfer of the wicked, it's not for your red bottom shoes. It's not for your nice fancy car. Those are just things you can get just because you have it. But the mission for money is to make the world a better place. It exceeds you. It's to make it better for your kids. Your wealth is supposed to go beyond your kids to your kids' kids. Meaning, the work that I'm doing today has an assignment that is connected to 3 generations. Me, my generation, my children, their generation, my grandchildren in their generation, and it's supposed to duplicate itself each generation. So in the same way that I look out for my grandkids, my children are supposed to look out for their grandkids. My great, 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 great grandkids should be proud of the Pickett's name because I established an answer in the earth that generated wealth, and that wealth made life better for generations to come. So they're supposed to walk in dignity and boldness, not slavery and oppression. I don't have to do what you say when I'm not punching your clock. And I have nothing against punching the clock. It's necessary for three main reasons. You go to work because that job becomes training to work out things in your heart. That job becomes training for you to learn skill to deal with people. And that job becomes training for what you're supposed to birth in the earth. So punching the clock is not a problem. The problem is when you trade in your generation's wealth because you refuse to go further in producing the things that are in you because you are comfortable with receiving a check week by week. That's when it becomes a problem. You are not serving your generation, just working for money so you can eat now. You are failing your generation if you do not have your grandchildren in mind. If you are not building something that is going to live beyond your days, you are failing. You're failing your generation. Some of you, your inheritance is tied to the people that God has assigned you to. What does that mean? Your inheritance is going to come because you are called to be the seed factory for somebody else's vision to manifest. Watch. And as they manifest their vision, they're supposed to break you off enough to serve your generation. You know, we live in a pompous, bigot society where everybody has to be in charge. Everybody has to be king. Everybody has to be a queen. And I do believe that all of us are kings and queens, but the royalty and the responsibility of being who we are is connected with what we've been assigned to do. Everybody cannot be the chief. Let me ask you something. What's more important? The king or the king's men? The queen or the queen's men? Because I want to tell you something. It's much of importance as the king is to the nation. The king can only serve the nation if he's been groomed, taught, and educated and equipped by the king's men. Some people say the king is more important. There are those that say the king's men are important. The queen is more important. The queen's men are more important. I think both is wrong. I think they're equal. They're equally important. Because without a king, I don't need king's men. But with the king, I need king's men. They work together. And I think we've become so intoxicated with power and limelight, and technology has given us the ability to go on social media and be whoever we want to be until we've lived and we've built and we manufactured this world of fantasy. You don't know what to believe. We've manufactured a world of fantasy and we've been disconnected from truth. And the further you come from truth, the more of a lie begin to manifest in your life, and you train your soul how to embrace a lie, and you train it to separate from truth. So when something true comes along, your soul doesn't believe it because it's been intoxicated with the lie. Our world is full of problems. And each one of us have a piece of the answer inside of us. My piece is not more important than yours. Yours is not more significant than mine. All of us have different pieces. We have pieces of answers inside of us to correct the world's problem. Now, how do you monetize your answer? How do you monetize your answer? In order to monetize your answer, you got to discover a problem. Steve Jobs and the Apple organization had more money than the U.S. government. Why? Steve Jobs found a problem that he could answer. He monetized the answer to create and generate answers, and it was the answers that brought him money. We are not supposed to work for money, and money should not be our goal. If you're working for money, you're already losing and failing. Let me show you why. Hebrews 13:5 says this: keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have, for he has said, I will never leave you or forsake you. So God's covenant to man is connected to his comfort, to being whatever the man needs. And he is telling us to take comfort and shelter in him and not be driven by the money, because when money drives you, money changes your heart. And where your heart is, there your treasures be also. And many of us, being driven by money and what money does, fall in love with money, and money becomes the root of how things grow and brew in our heart. When money becomes the root, it becomes the love of our life, then we will do anything for it. This is why you can lie on your neighbor to get a promotion. This is why you can do deceit and harm to other people to get more money. It's because your heart has turned. God says, I want to be your source of income. I provided you an answer. Don't be driven by the money. Be driven by solving the problem. Your gift is the answer to somebody's problem in the earth. When you answer the call of your gift, you provide hope and answers for somebody's problem. When you solve their problem, it's their appreciation and gratitude that will feed generations to come. Here's the proof that money is not your answer. Psalms 37:25. I have been young, now I'm old. Yet I've not seen the righteous forsaken, or children begging for bread. In other words, the psalmist is trying to get us to see, no matter what he faced in his life, God has always provided. It wasn't the money. In fact, for some people, they gain a lot of money and they lose their family. They gain a lot of money, they lose their health. Steve Jobs, as rich as he was, had all the money, more money than the U.S. government, but money could not keep his life. He died of cancer. What he was living for was greater than his life. And he presented something to our world that made our entire world better. We are eating the fruits of Steve Jobs' labor. And that's why I'm able to talk to you and you're not even in my house. You can see me, hear me, and feel what I'm saying through the lens of another man's idea. He was focused on his idea. When you focus on your idea, the wealth is not in the money. The wealth is in the answer. The answer is the wealth. So I've got some practical things that you can do. Number one, find something that you are passionate about and pursue it. Just got an idea. Give me a second. Number one, find something that you're passionate about and pursue it. What do you have a passion for? We've been blinded by society's tale for how we should live, to the point that we've renegotiated our dreams and we sold our dreams in exchange for comfort. Whatever you're passionate about, the reason that passion is there is that passion is a fire that's going to keep you motivated, because you're getting ready to go through uncharted territory. And whenever you go through uncharted territory, there are going to be giants assigned to you to stop you. It could be an evil boss. It could be a mischievous coworker. It could be a wayward child. It could be a sickness in your body. There's always going to be a giant when you pursue your passion. It's going to always be giants. But let me tell you what happens. Let me tell you what the giant is there for. You think, if you're thinking on the surface, you think the giant is there to stop you. The giant is not there to stop you. The giant is there to make your name big. The giant is an opportunity. There was a giant that David faced. This giant had killed many men. This giant was intimidating. He had killed men. He intimidated armies. And the army of Israel had gotten to the point they had no answers. So the king said, whoever kills this giant, listen to the reward. He says, I will give you wealth. I will give you my daughter's hand in marriage. And your family will not have to pay taxes, and they will never see a need in their life. There were three things that were promised for anybody that could defeat the giant: wealth, the king's daughter, and your family coming into even greater wealth. Now listen, the second promise that the king gave to anybody that could beat this giant called Goliath, the second promise was connected to his throne. Here's what the king was saying: I am king right now, but if you beat this giant, I will make sure you are next. So the giant on the surface looks like your enemy, and it looks as if it's trying to destroy you. God allowed the giant so you could be the answer to it, and giving or providing the answer to the giant gives you the opportunity to become the next king. People think God just anointed David to become king. No, it was a strategy. David saw king when he saw Goliath. He didn't look at the size of Goliath. He saw the size of the opportunity that he would gain. Your gift is the answer to slay any giant. If you do self-discovery and find out what you're passionate about, that thing becomes the answer to Goliath. Here's what was going on. Whoever killed Goliath, the king promised wealth transfer. It was the giant that created success. It was the giant that made David's name so significant in Israel. It was killing the giant that was a part of the process for him becoming king. Now listen to this. David saw the throne. He didn't see the daughter. He didn't see a wife. He saw that he was next in line. Why? If the king is king, his daughter is the princess. Whoever she marries becomes the prince. If the king dies, the throne is given to the prince. It wasn't about Goliath. It was about walking in him being king. Find something that you're passionate about and pursue it. The giant that you're faced with is an opportunity for your name to be known. Listen, David saw himself being king. David saw this is the perfect branding opportunity for me to build my business. I'm a fighter, and I'm going to use my warrior abilities in a slingshot to make the nation know me so that my name can be magnified. If my name has influence, it's going to give me power. And if I have power, I have the ability to shift things and be the answer to Israel. David was a branding king. He marketed his talents. You don't need another gift. You just need to know how to brand and market what you have. You've got to attach your gift to something that is already moving so that your name can be known. So when David comes on the scene, he has a slingshot. He has what he's good at. Now, here's what you don't know. It wasn't that David was so courageous. The reason the giant didn't intimidate David, he had beat something bigger than the giant. He had fought lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. He had beat them all. So he had practice. He had practice working with the slingshot. A piece of leather and a strap was all he had. Israel had armor, swords. They had spears. And they tried to put all their stuff on him. They wanted David to become who they wanted him to be in order to defeat the Goliath. David said, take this stuff off me. I can't be who you want me to be. And I can't be it the way you want me to be it. I've got to be uniquely me. I have something that's greater than your armor. And the reason I know it's greater than your armor, you've not been able to defeat Goliath with the armor that you have. So don't you put your inabilities on me. Don't allow other people's opinion of you and of your dream to become the ceiling or the magnitude of how you serve. You're bigger than them. You're bigger than their thought process. Get around people who think like a king. Get around people who see a problem as an opportunity. Get around people who are passionate, who are going places, and you see their work in the earth, because once you start to become you and tap into your gift, they're going to try to put their opinions to suppress your gift. Do it your way. There is a power in doing it your way. Do it your way. What do you mean do it my way? My gift works the way I've been working it. He'd already beat lion, tigers, bears, wolves with the slingshot. He didn't need the armor. Only thing he needed was a rock. The rocks were there when Goliath killed other men. They didn't have the skill or the technique to be able to see beyond Goliath and see that their answer wasn't in their spears, their shields, or their swords. The answer was in a rock. What other people overlook will become your prize if you can see that it has the answer. When people overlook you, you don't sweat that. They're overlooking of you. It's God hiding you because there's a Goliath that is out there, and he's going to use your gift that was overlooked as a tool to beat what everybody else died trying to fight. This is why you got to get this thing out of you, this dream of becoming whatever it is inside of you. You got to get it out of you because it is the answer to save a generation and generations on top of it. It is your generational wealth. Your answer, your gift is the answer to generational wealth. I'm not with titles. I don't throw around prophetic this, prophetic that. I'm God. This. I don't do that. But I know for a fact, I heard from God this morning. And the one thing that he told me to do was to challenge the dreamers to not allow the pandemic to be their answer. But this pandemic is your opportunity for wealth transfer. It is your Goliath. It is sent so that your name can be known. But you got to approach it right. You got to use what everybody else have overlooked. David didn't kill Goliath with the rocks. He didn't. He used the rocks to bring Goliath to his knees. He hit Goliath in the center of the forehead with a rock. That rock took him to his knees and laid him flat on his back. Once he was down, then David took Goliath's sword and killed him with his own tool. You got to learn how to use your enemies for your advantage. The stuff that they are doing against you is an opportunity for you. If you have wisdom, you don't get rid of your enemies because they're supposed to watch you eat. Your enemies are supposed to be there to every stage and every phase of the process of you to become. This is why he said, I will make a table for you in the presence of your enemies, meaning they're supposed to be there. Faith and fear works together. Enemies and championships work together. You're so busy about cutting people off. You're so busy about getting rid of people. You're so busy, I don't want you in my circle. Your enemies need to be in your circle because they provide you with something that you're going to need to kill Goliath. Listen, I'm going to show you what a rock is. Right here in the corner of my screen, the corner of your screen, it's a single. It says always there. You think it's a song. It is. It's on all digital outlets. Download it. I promise you, it should bless you. But this single, it's not just music. It's my rock. It's what I'm releasing in the earth. This rock is supposed to bring Goliath to his knees. I don't know what your rock is. Your rock becomes the thing that you are used to using in order to win. And you're not limited to one realm of winning. Let me show you. David was known for 4 things. Listen, he kept his father's sheep. He was a sheep keeper. He was gifted in keeping sheep. David was also known after he killed Goliath as a warrior. Goliath became an opportunity for his name to be branded in the earth. And then the soldiers and all of Israel began to market who David was, which made his name great, won the throne of the king, and connected him to generational wealth. He was a sheep keeper. He was a warrior. He was a musician. David was summoned to come and play the harp so that the demons in the king would be quiet. This is my rock. I believe that when people listen to it, things that trouble them, things that agitate them, this is going to bring them hope and comfort, but it's my rock. It's not my end thing, but it's a part of what I use in the earth to become the answer to the problem that is ailing our world. What is your rock? David was known as a sheep keeper. He was branded as a warrior. He was branded as a musician. But all of those things just led up to who he was called to be. He was called to be king. The first step, find something that you're passionate about and pursue it with all your heart. The next thing that you need to do, whatever this thing is, it should impact your world to the point that they see the love that is inside of you. You should love this thing to the point that the people, when they see whatever your rock is, they fall in love with it and it impacts the world around you. In order to do this, you have to see the good in imperfections. In every imperfection, in every trouble, in every challenge, that trouble, that challenge, that imperfection becomes an opportunity. And if you're looking right, it's not just a rock. Nobody pays attention to rocks. We kick them, we throw them. But that rock became the answer to killing Goliath. You got to realize that your contribution to the world is valued. Others may not see the value in your contribution, but just because they are blind to it don't mean you're supposed to stop it. When people don't see the value in what you bring, that is God telling you you went through the wrong door. Go through another door. If they don't see your value there, you're supposed to build the stage and make your own stuff to help the world. I've got 3 more things I'm going to give you and then I'm done. The more gifts you have, the more you have to be refined. It will seem as if you are always going through something, but while you're going through, remember, there's a king in you. I want to challenge you to do something today. Don't leave. I am going to get in your wallet, but I want to get in your wallet for you. Here's what you need to do today. Find something in you that you can invest in. Start a new Cash App, open a new account, and every week put some money in that account. Cash App yourself to keep a record, to keep money in that account for the thing that is in you. Others have overlooked it. Others have kicked it. Others have ignored it. But I'm telling you, that rock that everybody else is ignoring is the key to you coming king. There's something greater in you fighting, trying to get out of you. And you've allowed fear, procrastination, others not giving you credit for what you have. You've allowed those things to dictate you and hinder you from being who you're supposed to be. Let me tell you something. That rock is not to be ignored. That rock is the key to you coming into your kingdom. The last thing that I'll tell you is connect with other people that are winning. Let me tell you something about people that are winning. They don't have time to hate you. The people that are jealous of you, envious of you, you need them. There's something in your enemies you need. Don't be so quick to dismiss people. Here's what you got to do. You got to separate from them, but don't dismiss them. They may have the platform that you need to market your product. They may be envy, spiteful, hateful, and indifferent, but they may have a phone number of somebody that you need. Let me tell you what God is doing. He's talking to somebody right now, somewhere, about you and what's inside of you. He's preparing a way. He's equaled the playing field. People that wouldn't listen to you before, guess what? They are home now, bored, looking to get into something, trying to find something to invest in. That investment should be given to you. Why? Because your gift is the answer to somebody else's problem. Stop allowing people to ignore your rock. Put that rock in motion and slay Goliath. Invest in you. I'll say it again. Invest in you. I had a doctor's appointment with my optometrist. My eyes were watering. I had headaches. My eyes were itching. And I knew, okay, my prescription has changed. I was already wearing glasses, but my eyes had changed, which caused my prescription to change. Listen to this. The level of giving that my lenses provided at one level did not match the next level of when my eyes changed. I had to go back to LensCrafters. Shout out to LensCrafters. In fact, let me tell y'all who helped me at LensCrafters. Miss Natasha Elizabeth. She's in Atlanta now, I think. Find her if you need glasses. Trust me, you won't regret it. I went in. They had to test my eyes again and give me a new prescription. Listen to this. My giving at one level, I had to pay more at another level because my eyes required more. Your investment has to change the more you grow. Y'all always complaining about giving. You shouldn't complain about giving, especially if you're receiving something that's going to enhance your vision. Find something in someone to invest in, especially those that help you see. There are things in front of you, you can't see the rock because you've not invested in the person to help you see the rock. When there are people that say things to you that causes the light bulb to come on, you need to invest in them. So the three things you need to do: one, invest in yourself. Two, invest in those that help you see. And here's the third investment that you need to make. The actual thing that you're going to. David made an investment in the kingdom by killing Goliath and taking the king's daughter as his wife. What are you giving to? If what you're giving to is not producing the fruit that you need, you're giving into the wrong ground. What are you sowing into? I'm not afraid of y'all. If I've helped you this morning, I need you to give. I just put my Cash App on the screen. I'm not even going to tell you what to give. It's up to you. I'm taking this coffee time to a bigger platform, which means I have to do it a different way, which requires me to enlarge my team. Your giving and your support helps me do that. Thank y'all. That's coffee time. Without your ear, I don't have a voice. You make this possible. You were born to win, predestined to succeed. There's nothing that can happen to you today that the wisdom on the inside of you is not able to handle. You need to calm down, slow down, be quiet, use emotional intelligence, trust God, and let wisdom speak. When wisdom speak, you will always win. You all have a great day. And always remember to think higher, speak life. Don't forget to download my single today. Don't forget to join me, Gene.com, and Comedian A-Train tonight for PDT. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day.